When it comes to safety and security of drivers, both Uber and Lyft should never be shy and save money. Spend cash, spend money now where it's important. I don't quite know how this idea will fly. I would really appreciate feedback from drivers and riders alike. They say Uber will start audio recording rides as a safety measure. Let's see how that goes. They are going to be testing that in foreign markets first before it comes to the US. Now, riders and passengers won't be able to access the recordings, right? So whatever was said there, you cannot tamper with. It's on their servers. They get to hear it only. And the question is, what are the legalities on this, right? Will riders be happy with this? I would be happy with this as a driver. I have no problem having a trip recorded, right? So that wrongful deactivations cannot take place against me. Why? Because the evidence and the proof is there. Now, just to get some more clarity on this, and I want to leave the link beneath the video, Uber will launch a feature to audio record rides in the United States as a way to ensure passenger and driver safety, according to company communications accessed by the Washington Post and confirmed by Uber itself. The company says it plans to test the feature in Mexico and Brazil next month before deciding when to bring it to the United States. Drivers can set up the feature to automatically record all rides, right? I would do that. While passengers will have to activate the feature through the app's safety toolkit before getting into a car. Now, does that mean they have to activate it before the driver can actually record you? Or can the driver automatically record you, and only when the passenger activates it may they record? So I'd like some clarity there. It's not clear whether they'll have to enable the feature before each and every ride. So that's precisely where I'm going with my question. Give us some details on this so we can start digesting it, reporting on it in video form, in blogs, and see how people react to this. Either way, riders and passengers won't be notified when recording starts, which is strange. I would automatically think that if the driver consents to this and says that's fine, the moment he or she accepts the trip, from that moment on, everything should be recorded to the moment you drop them off, right? I don't think it would be smart just to randomly somewhere in the trip capture pieces and snippets of the recording. The whole thing needs to be on audio. But again, I foresee a lot of privacy issues on this. I foresee lawsuits in the United States. The question is, to what degree can you opt in and okay the fact that this recording takes place? I think it automatically should be a given that if the driver says, okay, it's recorded, the passenger can obviously always turn around and say, you know what, that recording is not permissible in court. I did not give any permission to Uber or the driver to record the conversation. So it's going to get very, very interesting, and it's going to be a tug of war when it comes to legalities. Uber says they'll get a general warning when the feature becomes available, as well as prompts asking them to grant the app microphone access. Okay, so when you see that coming, you know they're pretty much ready for that safety feature. I'm all about safety features. The more, the better, right? The question is, find a few that will really work or reduce problems, right? Reduce assaults, reduce killings, reduce rape, reduce sexual harassment, right? Find any way possible to guarantee the driver and the rider a safe drive from A to B, period. That's what I'm interested in. Riders can choose to submit the recording to Uber's customer support team when they report a safety issue. The recordings are saved in case a user decides to report the incident later. The recordings will be encrypted, and riders and drivers won't be able to access the audio themselves. But Reuters reported earlier this month that the initial rollout of this feature in Mexico and Brazil may make those recordings available to law enforcement officials upon request. The feature may raise some privacy issues, as I've just stated. Several states have wiretapping statutes that prohibit recording people without consent from both parties to a conversation. This is further complicated when multiple passengers are involved. Uber says it is still working out these issues. So they don't really have answers for states where, the consent to record is, it's prohibited. They have wiretapping statutes in place. Same goes for the dash cam. Uber has been faced with ongoing concerns about user safety, namely its history of sexual assault cases. At least 103 Uber drivers have been accused of sexually assaulting or harassing their passengers. CNN reported last year at least 31 drivers have been convicted for crimes including forcible touching, false imprisonment, and rape. Now, what media fails, because they just don't want to piss off the public, right? Because they need the public to follow their ratings, to tune in to their stations. But the media does not have the guts or the balls to often report on rider passenger issues, which I would say are far higher, right? There's given factors about the driver in the car, and that is he or she has conducted a background check. There are tons and tons of unknowns with the riders. They don't have background checks, right? And when we're behind the wheel, we're expected to not be under the influence of alcohol, not to be high. So I will argue all day long, if you put it into a percentage or a ratio, that the problems, drivers versus riders, it's at least 80% on the rider side, issues there, versus 20% on the driver side, or maybe 90-10 in our favor, right? The bottom line is they're quick to point fingers and target drivers, but I'll ask the media, don't be shy to report on all those crazy lunatic riders. And I'm not throwing all riders, obviously, in one barrel here, right? But when it comes to moving people, there are just way more passengers and riders out there than drivers. So statistically, we can have more issues with riders. And again, it really truly goes back to this background check. I would like to see some form of background check or fingerprinting or any information intelligence can share with Uber and Lyft about a rider, so we at least can say yes or no. That, my friends, I think would be one of the biggest safety and security breakthroughs for the rideshare industry when we got more knowledge, more know-how on the rider. Since then, Uber has been taking steps to improve safety within its app, such as allowing passengers to dial 911 directly from the app. And you see, so these features 911 for the passengers, right? The drivers are the problem. Passenger really needs access to 911. What about us? I do understand that we have it as well, but the media, just the way they talk about it, and I don't think this is a great article by The Verge, it puts too much emphasis on the bad driver. Focus, ladies and gentlemen, on the stats, on the statistics, right? And announcing a feature that allows riders to report safety issues. See, another feature for riders. A year ago, Uber announced it would be releasing a transparency report this year containing data about sexual assaults, but the report hasn't been released yet, probably because it's very, very embarrassing. Uber has also had several cases of sexual harassment within its company. Former Uber engineer Susan Fowler wrote a viral account of sexism and harassment at the company. The ensuing investigation into sexual harassment at Uber led to the firing of 20 employees. And so shall it be. That you got to let these people go, these problem individuals. The rideshare company used to have a policy of mandatory arbitration for cases of sexual assault and harassment, but ended it last year. So definitely a step in the right direction. But again, I want these companies to focus on both sides, not just on issues with drivers, and make the riders look like saints, because they're not. And, don't stop here. Don't just stop at this recording idea. Seek and seek and seek new ideas. Spend money on technology in your app, and have people come together and brainstorm effective ways. Bring drivers and passengers into the equation and let them share and build the safety features together. Thank you very much. I wish you all a wonderful day, both drivers and passengers.